you know what? If they would have continued to do that, so be it. That's just going to destroy their own efforts, their own campaign, because people don't want socialism. They're not going to want socialism. And as President Trump says, America will never be a socialized country.
No, you know what's pretty alarming is I've seen a lot of polls indicating that millennials, and I'm not saying I'm surprised by this, but it's still alarming that so many young people have this positive view of socialism. And it makes me wonder who educated them on socialism and where, they did their research, if they did it at all. That could be the problem, obviously. So it's just kind of alarming to know that because, this election truly is historic. And, I obviously am hopeful the president will secure the presidency again. But if for some reason he did not, the country would be headed in a very starkly different direction. And there's no doubt about that. Again, switching gears just a little bit, I want to give a quick shout out to Nathan Eberly. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he donated $19.99 and said, thanks for the great broadcasting of the rallies. I'll be watching all of them. Thank you so much, Nathan. Your support means the world to us. It is really what keeps us on the road, so we appreciate that. If you guys are interested in donating and you like what you see, you want to keep us on air, you can donate via the YouTube Super Chat. I'll be reading those out. Or if you want to donate, if you want most of your money to come to us and not a bigger chunk, but a chunk to YouTube, you can actually do it via our website, and that's rsbnetwork.com/donate. Again, that's rsbnetwork.com/donate, and then there you can donate any amount that you wish. You can use your credit card if you want, and you can actually put a message in that comment section, and Micah will be reading those as well. So if you want to interact with us, it's a great way. We love to shout out you guys and, connect with you. And it's really part of our brand is, we come out here to these rallies. We're very real. We're very authentic. We cover everything in its entirety and let you make your own opinions. So that being said, if you want to interact with us, you can do it via the website, rsbnetwork.com/donate, or the YouTube Super Chat, or you can mail a check, and I know our wonderful moderators will put that in the chat as well. We really appreciate your support. I can't stress it enough going into 2020. We have the equipment that we need right now, I think, for the frequency, but they're going to get even more frequent as we head into that election cycle. So we're going to need to make sure we have everything we need and then some to be able to compete with the mainstream networks that we're standing right next to right now. Micah?
Absolutely. And, I mentioned it earlier, it's a lot of money that goes into this equipment. And we're talking, $15,000, $20,000 just with the equipment. And then we add in like the live views, and that budgets up to about $50,000. And this is a lot of money. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of money to actually make this thing happen. And of course, we're thankful to everyone who has donated. Thank you so much for all that. I did want to read out one of them that did mention that you can send in a comment through the website, and so has happened here. So thank you to Dave, who says, we are up against a parallel population of Satanists. See Catherine O'Brien's book, Transformation of America. Plan was nuclear World War III. Donald Trump saved us all. P.S. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Dave, for that donation. Like we said, that if you want to donate rsbnetwork.com/donate, you can leave a comment there. Now, you mentioned some things that I wanted to kind of step back to that we were talking about earlier, socialism, things like that. You said, who's teaching these kids? And unfortunately, if you guys are aware, you've read like the Communist Manifesto and things like this. And as we all know, socialism is just a smaller part of communism.
Right.
And so it's a step towards communism, as we've seen with like Venezuela. They started as, they started being very prosperous, capitalist nation, and then they switched over to socialism, started going downhill fast. And what happened when they started going downhill fast? The government seized power, and now we see a full-blown communist regime inside of Venezuela. So in the Communist Manifesto, it talks about this. It talks about, putting the way they weren't going to defeat the United States, and they knew this. The USSR knew this. They were not going to defeat the United States with weapons. We outclassed them with our military. We still outclass them with our military. The way they were going to defeat us, interior. They were going to fight us from within. They were going to put people in positions of teach people from everything from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, university, doctorate degrees, etc. And they were going to push this narrative that socialism is great and that communism is misunderstood. And through that, they have, as we talked about, a lot of people our age, unfortunately, view socialism positively. And that's because they have been indoctrinated from people and told this is what you should be believing, this is what you should be looking at. So that's basically where it came from. We can get way more in depth, but not here, not now. But if you're interested in that, of course, you can hit me up on Twitter, or you can talk to Bailey on Twitter. My Twitter is at Messer, MESSER _ Micah, MICAH, at MESSER _ Micah, MICAH. So it's last name first, first name last. If you're in the military, you'll understand that. It's just the way it works. And then Bailey, I don't know yours off the top of my head. What's yours?
It's at Bayhill, at BAIIHILL. So you can reach me on Twitter that way. If you want to follow our social media, so on Facebook, we are Right Side Broadcasting, so you can search us that way. On YouTube, we're the same, so Right Side Broadcasting. If you want to reach us on Twitter, it's at RSB Network. Again, that's RSB Network. And then it's the same for Instagram as well. It's at RSB Network. Micah?
And I will read a couple more donations have come in, and comments have come with it. From Karen, says, Trump all the way, make our day. Thank you, Karen, for that. And then also from Beverly, thank you for coming to Louisiana, President Trump and RSBN. We love you. And we were talking about that, of how people are so happy that people came to, they were like, he's coming to Monroe. He's coming to Monroe. They're so super excited about that. It was really cool to see that on their faces, how excited they were.
Yeah, something awesome about that. The last time a sitting president has arrived in Monroe, Louisiana was actually 1983. Former President Ronald Reagan arrived here after a catastrophic flood. So a little symbolic. We had Reagan here, and now we have President Trump here. So the people of Louisiana are fired up to see their president. It's really awesome for them because they feel like they're finally getting the White House's attention. So, I mean, and I would probably feel the same way. I mean, living here my whole life, never seeing a sitting president take the time to come where I was, I think it really speaks volumes about what this race means for the betterment of our country and what it'll mean for Louisianans going forward. Micah?
Absolutely. And, I remember being, 12 years old. I talked to a 12-year-old out there. He was so excited to come inside and see President Trump. I was thinking back, I was like, man, what would I be like if I was 12 years old and being able to see a living president? I wish I could have got to see that. I did get to see a lot of cool things being younger, but unfortunately I didn't get to see a living president. So hopefully I'll be able to be able to show my kids a living president when they're 12 or maybe younger. But really excited to see that. Of course, we talked to. Oh, looks like the Robertsons have arrived. The Duck Dynasty has arrived. Phil Robinson and them have arrived inside, and the crowd's going nuts here in Monroe for them.
I didn't even think about that, did you?
I actually knew that they were going to be here.
Okay.
I didn't know.
No idea.
Yes, they're getting the VIP treatment right now, but
My husband's gonna be pumped.
I'm sure. Sure. I wish they'd come and let us interview them, but it's all right. So anyway, I was talking about the people coming in. They're still filing in right now, and as you can see behind me, you don't see. You see all these open seats. That's because those fill in last, because they're behind the president. Who wants to sit behind the president? You want to sit in front of him. You want to see him in front, right? Well, right now on the left and the right side of the venue right now, it's almost completely full, and the ground is starting to fill up as well. So we definitely expect this to pack out tonight. I expect this to be packed. I expect it to be, around 7,000, 7,500, about what the max capacity of this arena holds. There's only about 5,000 in seating, and then the rest will be here on the floor around the media pen and up towards President Trump.
Definitely. Yeah, and I have a quick update as well. The president he touched down at Joint Base Andrews just after 5 p.m. So he is currently en route. We're really excited to hear from him. We're just a couple hours out from that. It is 4:18 local time, so we're about a little over 3.5 hours from the president's remarks. He will be here at the Monroe Civic Center to stump for Eddie Rispone, who is currently in the gubernatorial race for the November 16th runoff election. Now, he's also a businessman, business executive. He's poured $11.5 million of his own money into this campaign. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of similarities between the two. I mean, he's big into construction. He's big into the workforce, economic empowerment. So I definitely think there's a lot of similarities there. Do you think that'll show through tonight, Micah?
Absolutely. And he actually talked about that in his campaign, Rispone did, of how Trump-like he is, and the fact that he's an outsider. He's not a career politician. He hasn't been doing this. He just saw the way Louisiana was going and how it's been going the last couple decades. As many of you know, and how it's been run by the Democrats and been run into the ground, honestly, by Democrats, and higher taxes, and the infrastructure is just falling apart. I was thinking about it while I was driving here, of the roads and the quality of the roads were just, honestly, we're just poor, and I was like, this is a sad state of affairs. In such a beautiful state that has so much potential. I mean, the Mississippi River, New Orleans. Crawfish. I'm not a big fan of crawfish, but crawfish. She loves it. But I was just talking about, I was like, they need a good Republican governor. And I think Rispone is that governor. He's the outsider. He's a businessman. He understands finances.
Business expertise.
Absolutely.
Like President Trump.
Exactly. And, he basically is like a mini President Trump in the fact that he's an outsider, he's a businessman, and he put his own money into the campaign. As we know that President Trump did back in 2015, 2016, he dumped a lot of his own money into the campaign to get it jump started. And then, of course, a lot of people backed him and saw what he was doing for America and what he planned to do. So I think there's a lot of similarities between him and Rispone. I think that's going to show tonight. Of course, we expect Rispone to speak before President Trump, or maybe during President Trump. He loves to call him up there. Maybe both, like we saw back in Kentucky. Right. So we do expect him to hear him. And I'm interested to see. I know he's similar in the fact that he's a businessman and he's come up and he's put his own money in there, but I'm interested to see if he has the same energy as President Trump.
I don't know if anyone has that dragon energy. Do you? I don't know. I don't.
We don't. We start falling. We're just like, we just want to sleep. And he's up there just going and going. And we know, having seen through the 2018 midterm elections, he has so much energy. He just goes from rally to rally to rally, and it keeps that energy up high throughout the entire time. And I don't know how he does it. We can't do it, that's for sure.
I don't know how he does it either. And I have a fun fact about him. Did you know he has 7 kids and 24 grandchildren?
Rispone, not Trump.
Rispone, yes. Rispone. Clarifying, Rispone has 24 grandchildren and 7 kids. That's a lot of little minions running around. But anyway, I want to switch gears really quickly. Did you shout this one out? I could shout it out again. It's from, no. Okay, so Deplorable D donated and said, "Keep up the good work, RSBN, you guys rock." Thank you so much for that. That was very sweet. We have another one from, got that one. Martia, thank you again. Let's see. But Bernadette Barber, thank you again, giving them double shout outs. And then, okay, got those. Good deal. Okay, let's see if nope, we don't. Let's go. We're going to go back to the YouTube super chat. In the meantime, it looks like we have $49.99 from Beverly Elantra, who said, "Thank you for coming to our little town, President Trump and RSBN. Thank you so much for having us. I have to say, this has been one of the most enjoyable in terms of talking to supporters. Normally, people are pretty friendly, but extra hospitality here for sure. It's definitely stood out to me. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're live from Monroe, Louisiana at the Monroe Civic Center. President, we got another one?
Yep. From William. He's talking about he's unable to make more than $1 donation. He says he'll do this tens and tens and tens of times. I'm not sure exactly what's happening there, but thank you to William for your donations. As we're seeing, I'm getting multiple from William of him donating $1 just to support us. Thank you so much. Not exactly sure why it's limiting you to $1, but thank you for doing that anyway. Even though it's just $1, he just keeps sending it in. So thank you, William, for that. We do appreciate you on that. Again, if you're wondering how these people are, getting these shout outs, how are they able to, send these messages to us, there's a couple ways that can happen. One's through the super chat in the YouTube super chat. In the text in the chat right there, you go to the very bottom, there's a $sign, you hit that, put the amount there, but just know that 30% of that does go to YouTube. So if you don't want to send money to the YouTube, if you want more money to go to us, then go to our website. And just so you know, William, if you want to put more than $1, our CEO just said, hey, just make sure that you're putting the amount in the amount box. A default is $1, so I'm not sure if you're having technical difficulties or what. But anyway, you go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. You can go there, donate right there with your credit card, debit card, what have you, and then your comments go into that comment box, and then they get sent to us. And then if they're family friendly, we'll read them out online. Just like if they're super chats. We're going to try to keep an eye on super chats as well. But again, super chats, 30% goes to YouTube, so we only get 70%. So of course, we would prefer if you went to rsbnetwork.com/donate, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine. We'll take your super chats anyway. Again, the only reason we're able to do this is because of you. The only reason we're able to come to these rallies is because of you. You're the reason that we are here. You're the reason that we do this. You're the reason that we show the crowds. You're the reason that we show President Trump. Without you watching, we would not have a job. We would not be here. So we are extremely thankful to every single viewer, whether you can donate or not. For you being here helps us tremendously, and unfortunately doesn't help us show up in the search results. But that's something we're going to try to address the YouTube here shortly. But if you would like to share our stream, you can of course do that on any social media platform, or you can send it via text or whatever. Just hit the share button down below, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, or on YouTube. You hit that share button and send it to your friends and family, or on your profile, so that other people can see the truth of President Donald Trump and the people that he supports as well.
Yeah, that's a big one. If you can't support us monetarily, we understand that, but be sure to tell your friends and family about us, just because word of mouth does help. You know, it's awesome to come to these rallies and showcase our company to these, you know, constituents and different patriots. And the more that we talk about it and raise awareness and get the word out, it'll definitely help our platform to make sure that we can continue to, you know, be on the campaign trail and travel to each and every one of the rallies. Now, I do want to touch a little bit on the Louisiana gubernatorial primary that happened just weeks ago. So this election happened on October 12th, and it was Democrat John Bel Edwards who secured 46.6% of the vote, while Republican Eddie Rispone, who won that primary for the GOP, secured 27.4% of the vote, compared to his GOP counterpart, Ralph Abraham, who received 23.6% of the vote. Governor John Bel Edwards is the only Democrat governor in the Deep South, so kind of interesting. And I was talking to someone outside, and he said even for a Democrat, he's definitely more on the conservative side, so that was kind of interesting to hear that as well. He's expanded Medicaid, raised pay for teachers, poured a lot of money into the state's education system, but there's still not a lot of people that are really happy with him. President Trump held a rally here just weeks ago in Lake Charles to stump for Rispone. That was at the Lake Charles Civic Center. Now, the rally here is significant, like I said, because this is the first time a sitting president has been to the city of Monroe since 1983. President Ronald Reagan came here following a catastrophic flood that took place. So the people of Monroe are fired up to see their sitting president. So they're really excited about that. A little bit more on Rispone and where he stands on the issues. So he's an entrepreneur, he's a business executive, and advocates for workforce development, cutting taxes, and cutting red tape. He does not believe in raising the minimum wage. As a business owner, he knows this equates to job loss and in turn unemployment. He supports the Louisiana heartbeat bill, which was actually signed by the incumbent Democratic governor. It prohibits abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy, or whenever the heartbeat is detected. Typically, it's at 6 weeks, and it does not make exceptions for rape or incest. Something kind of interesting, he doesn't support the death penalty. He doesn't support a gas tax increase. He supports full funding of TOPS, which is actually a college scholarship program here in the state of Mississippi. He's a staunch Second Amendment supporter. He doesn't support mandatory background checks for firearm purchases within the state of Louisiana. And he also advocates for securing America's borders and stopping the influx of illegal immigration. Something that, you know, we don't often talk about is how much the illegal immigration equates to the opioid crisis. And I actually have an episode, in the works right now of Promises Made, Promises Kept, where I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into that. You know, a lot of people don't realize that this illegal immigration, what comes with that is the drug trafficking, the human trafficking, and just a multitude of tragedies that have really compounded upon this opioid crisis, and it's really turned into an epidemic across the country. So something kind of important to note there. So be on the lookout for that episode, because I'm going to touch a little bit more on that. Micah?
Absolutely, and you know, you're bringing up Rispone and some of his views and things like that, and honestly, I think one of the things that I like most about Rispone, again, is his economic views and the fact that he's wanting to cut taxes and wanting to, keep minimum wage from going higher. And people maybe like, what about the living wage, right? We hear that a lot from the left. What about the living wage? Well, define living. Right, so a lot of people, they don't define what living is. Does that mean you have a 3-bedroom house, 2-car garage with a brand new Silverado in there, and another car in there? Is that living, or does living mean actually having a roof over your head, having food and water? Right. So what do you mean by living wage? And then of course we talk about minimum wage. Minimum wage is not supposed to be lived off of. There at no point in time was minimum wage designed to be lived off of. And we all know, we've seen it, whether it be Oregon, Washington, California, I think New York, also New Jersey. When the minimum wage increases, what do we see? We see job loss. We see inflation rise. Cost of living increases. That does not equate to an economic boom that actually ends up hurting the people that were asking for a minimum wage increase so they could live. It actually ends up hurting them more than what they were currently getting. So I think it's important that people understand that, when we talk about minimum wage, like, oh, we want to make sure people get a certain amount of money. Well, if you go higher, you're going to start having an economic suppression or the regression, and that's going to cause even more problems for these people who are asking for these raises.
Right. Absolutely, yeah. It's something that's not often talked about. They just address, we want people to be able to have this living wage, but then they don't consider the ramifications that come with that and how that impacts the broader scope of the U.S. economy. So typically it's a very narrow view of how they think things should be, because they quite frankly just live in their little liberal bubble, if you will. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Bailey Hill with Right Side Broadcasting. I'm joined by Micah Messer, our COO, and we're here live from Monroe, Louisiana for the next Keep America Great rally. We're really excited to hear from the president in just a few hours. It is now 4:30 local time, so we're expecting him in about 2.5 hours. He's already arrived or left Joint Base Andrews. Let's check that really quick. He has left Joint Base Andrews, so he's currently en route to Monroe. He's scheduled to begin speaking about 7 p.m. Again, we're at the Monroe Civic Center. That holds about 5,000 people. They're expected to accommodate about 7,500. Looks like, can you tell what group that is?
I don't know exactly. It looks like they're wearing coveralls with reflective tape on them, so I'm guessing there's some type of I don't know if they're first responders. They may be like oil workers or something like that, refinery workers. Not exactly sure, but they entered in and people were cheering. So obviously, whoever they may be, the people here locally at least know who they are and they support them. So it's interesting to see that as well. But of course, we always know that President Trump always supports first responders. He supports our military and things like that. We see that all the time. A lot of times they'll ask veterans, stand up, raise your hand, whatever, and the crowd goes wild for him. I actually saw outside, I don't know if you saw him, but it was a World War II veteran was out there in a wheelchair, in the ADA line, waiting to come in here. So I'm sure he's in here somewhere. I don't know exactly where he is, but that's pretty cool to see. There's not a lot of World War II veterans left here in the United States, so it's always really cool to see someone who has fought for our country in such a impressive way, in such a important way here, to just see President Trump. And that goes to show the kind of support that he has, the character of the people that support President Trump. And you don't get that from the mainstream media. The mainstream media, what do they call President Trump supporters? Racists, xenophobes. I mean, you name it. White supremacists. When the evidence is in the pudding, right? You come to one of these, you talk to these people. Are they racist? No, they're not.
Nicest people I've ever met.
Right, we were talking about that earlier. They're so nice to everyone. And I'm not talking about just us. Right. They're nice to everybody there. I mean, they were nice to the police officers. They were nice to, African Americans, Asians, Hispanics. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what color you are. It didn't matter where you came from. If you're here because you love America, we're good. There's no issue with that. And that's what I saw here. And I think that's pretty much where you see it every single President Trump rally. I mean, everyone I've been to, that's how it's been. Bailey?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool because I interviewed quite a few people today where I assumed they came together because they looked like they were, clustered together, and they said, oh no, this is my new friend. I met him today, and I'm like, I just love that. It's just so refreshing. So, obviously the energy is great. The hospitality is great. People are so friendly, and it's a great vibe. I'm big on vibes, and I love the vibes at these rallies just because people are so nice, and, that's priceless to be around people who are just genuinely good people, it never gets old. That being said, I figured I'd hit on a little bit today some of the generic President Trump accomplishments, just because, the mainstream media doesn't do that, quite frankly, at all. So I kind of took a few of my episodes that I have on our channel of Promises Made, Promises Kept, and did brief synopses, I believe, of, the breakdown of what that kind of looks like. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ongoing economic boom. So since President Trump took office, there's been over 6.7 million jobs created. 6.7 million, that's insane. That's so many people that are now working. Manufacturing jobs have grown at the fastest rate in more than 3 decades. In addition to that, in renegotiating NAFTA, the manufacturing industry suffered a major blow following the deal's enactment because the companies were moving plants south of the border to compensate for the cost. Now, the trade deficit with Mexico hit over $60 billion by 2017, signaling that something obviously must be done. Now, reports claim about 4/5 of the jobs lost were in the manufacturing sector in places like Michigan, California, New York. The car industry lost around 1/3 of its jobs as the Mexican sector more than quadrupled its workers. So everything moved south of the border. Like he said, you know that magic wand that he likes to talk about? I guess you don't need one. But basically he said, you know, since he took office, he's completely revived the manufacturing sector. Over 600,000 jobs his critics said would never be brought back within American borders are now back within the U.S., which is pretty monumental. Overall, around 600,000 American jobs were lost over the span of 20 years, according to NAFTA. So it's definitely something to note. In turn, you know, unemployment has plummeted. You know, more people are back to work than ever. There's more job vacancies than there are job seekers for the first time in history. You know, unemployment across all minority groups, including youth and women's unemployment, are just, you know, totally unprecedented, quite frankly. 4.6 million Americans are no longer on food stamps. Millions more have been lifted out of poverty. Nearly 5 million Americans have gotten either bonuses or raises since the Trump economy took effect, which also coincides with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which was signed back in December of 2017. I don't know how you compete with that, Micah. I mean, it's one thing to have an opinion. Everyone's entitled to it. We're in America, but you can't dispute hard facts. So how do you think the left is going to look at these numbers and go, no, the economy's in shambles? I mean, how do you refute that?
So they like to spin everything, just like the mainstream media loves to do. Yeah, right? I'm so surprised. They love to turn everything around. So you mentioned, you know, people getting off food stamps. The first thing that came to mind is the Democratic talking point on that. And that is that, you know, the reason they're off food stamps is because they got thrown off of it. Not because they were raised out of it, they got thrown off of it, and now they're starving out on the streets. When in case, that is not the case at all. But they will use lies and half-truths to cover up for their failings. And that's what they'll continue to do, and that's what they've been doing. You know, you mentioned manufacturing jobs, and honestly, that is highly impressive. The amount of manufacturing jobs he's brought back to the United States is incredible. And how is he doing that? Well, we talked about the tax cuts. The tax cuts, you know, people are like, you know, Reaganomics doesn't work. You know, trickle down economy doesn't work. Really? Have you looked at the economy? Have you looked at what's happened since the tax cuts?
Have you looked at your pay stubs?
Right. Have you looked at them at all? Like, it's incredible. I mean, this year I'm going to have to pay less taxes than I did the year prior, and the year prior to that. So it's really exciting to see what's happening, and it does trickle down. People say, "Oh, it doesn't." No, it doesn't. Yes, it does.
Something's working. Something's working. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, huge corporations have given out huge bonuses to people. Why? Because now they don't have to pay as much in taxes, so they can actually reward hard work, and that in turn allows them to create, you know, more employees. They can bring in more employees, more job opportunities. And you mentioned the fact that there's more job opportunities out there than there are people seeking those jobs. Well, why are there still people seeking jobs? Well, that's either A, they don't want those jobs, and usually that's because it's hard labor. We talked about, you know, the fact that a lot of these, you know, trade type schools, these a lot of trade goods, or not goods, but services, like we were talking about it earlier, like electricians and plumbers and HVAC. You know, these are things that you can earn a lot of money off of, but a lot of people are, you know, they just ignore that, and they're like, oh, well, you know, they got their degree in basket weaving from college, so they should be able to earn $80,000 in basket weaving online. Like, no, that's not reality. That's not how this works.
Right.
So I think even the people that don't have a job could have a job if they really wanted it.
Yeah, thank you, Micah. Absolutely. You know, you can't refute numbers. The president has done wonders for the economy. The ongoing economic boom doesn't discriminate. It's helped people across all demographics. It's truly astounding. But I think we're going to take a quick break and send it back to headquarters. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Keep it right here for live continuing coverage of the president's next Keep America Great rally. Thank you, guys.
days when you were mine. Well, we had our ups and downs. The bad outweighed the good. We had tried to work it out. Hell, I wondered if we could. Now I'm feeling lost and so alone. Yeah, I'm bleeding, spinning way out of control. Well, you say you need your time, that you need your space. Oh, baby, I don't understand. All I got to say is, what about me? What about us? What about life, baby? What about love? What about all our hopes, our plans, and all our dreams? Yeah. What about me?
Back here at the studio in Auburn, just wanted to break in here really quick before Micah and Bailey come back. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am your host, Joe Seals, back here in the studio, and just wanted to let everybody know that we will be going live soon on Facebook and Twitter as soon as the opening speakers begin, which should be very soon. We are hearing that there may be another rally in Louisiana on Thursday of next week. If there is one, we certainly will be there. We are turning our page now to the 2020 election. As you know, back in 2016, the president did over 200 of these rallies, and we were there the entire way with him. If you can remember, we streamed every single one of them, and we simulcasted our feed to the president, then candidate Trump's Facebook page. And together we helped him reach over 300 million people. That's a powerful number. That's a lot of folks in an election that was decided by 3 swing states and 120 some odd thousand votes. We are very thankful, blessed, and humbled to be able to go to these events. We are just a small company from Alabama, about as grassroots as they come. You won't find a company more grassroots than us. If we wrote a book about it, you probably wouldn't believe it. As I sit here in my bedroom office, I am in Auburn. I am just letting everybody know to subscribe if you haven't already, because you'll get notifications when we go live on YouTube. For those watching on Diamond and Silk's YouTube, make it a point to subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting. Search for us on YouTube. We will be live every time the president speaks, and you'll see it all right here, uninterrupted, because we believe that you are smart enough to make up your own mind. We're not trying to tell you what to think or what to wear, what to believe, what to eat. We're just trying to show you the facts and let you decide for yourself. That's why RSBN was born, and we couldn't thank y'all enough. If you want to help us continue to go to these rallies, because it's very expensive, and as Micah had said earlier, you know, we don't see much profit in this business, and our business is really centered around rallies, and so we only have to ask for donations because of the fact that we are viewer supported, and we made that decision for a reason, and that reason was because we don't want anybody else telling us what we can and cannot say on our own network. So we're not taking on investors. However, we do appreciate your support any way you can give it. The best way to do that is to go to rspnetwork.com/donate. That's rspnetwork.com/donate. There you have an option to pay with PayPal or a credit card, or the address is there if you want to mail in your donation as well. And our correspondents can, if you request, after you've made your donation, read your shout out on the air. And we also appreciate the YouTube super chats as well. We just appreciate y'all so much. If you can share our stream, because we are being censored, that's nothing new. The search results don't include us. If we were in the search results, we would have triple the number of views that we get for every single rally. We average about anywhere between 25 and 40,000 viewers at once during the heat of the speech on these videos. So if you can support us, and you can't do it monetarily, share it on YouTube or share it on Facebook or Twitter, whatever you got, we'll take it. So thanks. We're going to go back to Monroe here in just a few minutes. So until then, watch this place fill up. You know it's going to be completely full here very shortly, as the president is about 2 hours away.
again. We're gonna make America free again. People have the power to vote that way. All you people screaming USA. We're gonna fill this country with work again. We're gonna bring those jobs back for good again. We gotta make those deals in a better way and keep prosperity here to stay. And now that trains are rolling, all of that self-loathing's gonna fade. So you better climb aboard, 'cause that engine's gonna roar on down the rail. We're gonna make this land of ours one again. We're gonna make this nation happy again. People have the power, so let's act that way. And the UN will crumble and blow away. Peaceful revolution's gonna be the best solution for us all. Wall Street and the bankers who all rigged this crooked system gonna fall. And the train keeps on rolling and just keeps on rolling down the rail. We're gonna make America great again. We're gonna make America free again. People have the power, we better act that way. Protect the borders of the
Give
USA.
them the guidance, protection, and wisdom they need in this journey. We thank you for the freedoms we enjoy as Americans. Father, we realize these freedoms come at a great cost. Lord, we know we would not have these freedoms without your hand of love and protection. We know we would not have these freedoms if it were not for the men and women who gave their lives as they served under the stars and the stripes. We thank you, O God, for the men and women of our military, law enforcement, and first responders who protect us every day. They literally put their lives on the line. May we respect them and support them and encourage them and honor them. Father, we thank you for the great leaders of our land. May they look to you, O gracious God, for spiritual wisdom and strength. We pray for our president and his family. Protect our president as he makes decisions that impact us today and for future generations. Father, keep your eternal hand on this man as he gives leadership to our state, our nation, and our world. Give him your vision. Give him your power. Give him your insight. Give him, O Lord, your heart. We are reminded from Holy Scripture that righteousness exalts a nation. Father, we know that every good thing we have in this nation comes from you. Help us, O God, to totally depend upon you. O God, keep your hand of blessing upon us. We do not want to be a nation divided. It's our heart's desire that you unite us with your truth and your love. Thank you, O Lord, for our forefathers, the signers of the Declaration of Independence and the framers of our Constitution that birthed the United States of America. Father in heaven, looking down upon us today, help us always to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we pray our prayers today in the name of King Jesus. Amen and amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Honorable Kay Kellogg Katz, who will lead us in pledging allegiance to our great American flag.
for God, home, and country. In this patriotic state, we will pledge our allegiance to our flag. If you will follow me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whoa!
Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem, performed by Miss Anna Beth Ellerman.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome to the stage Duck Dynasty's Willie Robertson.
What is up? Dadgum, looky here. Right here in our hometown, huh? Well, I hate to tell y'all, but if you wanted a Popeye's chicken sandwich, now was probably the time to go, all right? It's good to be here. So honored to be in this community. Someone said, Willie, if you could live anywhere in America, where would you live? And I said, well, I can live anywhere in America. I have that choice, but I choose to live right here in Ouachita Parish because it don't get no better than this. I am so proud to be part of this community. Growing up here, raising my kids here, worshiping here. It's just a great community. And y'all have been so good, and we're so thankful for you guys. And look at all the cameras. There ain't been this many cameras here since, well, maybe Duck Dynasty, since we filmed the show. So I'm so glad the president's coming in. And I want to tell y'all, actually how I met Trump. It's a funny story. So I was in Oklahoma City, and I went to see my son John Luke speak. This is when Trump was running, right? And I wanted to go see one of these rallies because I'd seen him on TV. I said, man, I got to go check that out. So I go to the state fair in Oklahoma City, and I had just met with Don Jr. He was a big hunter, and I said, hey, I want to go see your dad. And so I show up, and Mr. Trump gets on the RVs just like he is. He's cool, and we're talking about the big crowd. There's thousands of people just like tonight. And right before he went out, he said, hey, Willie, do you want to get on the stage and say something? And at this point, I was laying low. I said, no, Mr. Trump, I'm good. And I was kind of hiding in the stairwell. And, but I didn't know whether or not he was going to get me up there or not. You know how politicians are. But he wasn't a politician, so I wasn't quite sure. So Mr. Trump gets up and he just starts his speech. And I was like, oh, I missed that one. He's 30 minutes deep in the speech. I mean, he's China, and I'm sitting there looking. And that sucker stops, and he goes, where's Willie? And this is about the time the blood ran out of my body, because I realized, I was thinking, please, Lord, let him know another person named Willie. I was that person, and he goes, where's Willie? And he's looking around. My buddy said, you got to go up on stage. So I hopped up on stage, and people cheered, and I went to shake his hand. I said, hey, good job, Mr. Trump. You're doing great. And I went to pull away, and he pulls me right back towards him. And he says, well, I want everybody, this is Willie Robertson. He's a huge TV star. And he said, I got a question for Willie in front of all these people. He goes, do you love Trump? And just hands me the mic. You want to talk about being on the spot? I mean, I'm on the spot right now. I got to know what to say. These people came to see Trump. I said, yeah, I do like me some Trump. And everybody cheered. And I said, here's the deal. Me and Mr. Trump, we did pretty good at business. We've had pretty good TV shows. And we married people that look way better than we do. Thank you, Oklahoma City. I'm out of here. I mean, I thought on the spot that's pretty good. So the next day I'm flying to Dallas, I got to give a speech, and I get in an Uber car, and a little old driver, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and he looks over and he said, what'd you fellas do last night? And I said, we went to the Oklahoma State Fair. And he goes, I did too. He said, I went to see Donald Trump. He's going to be the next president of the United States. I said, did you? And he goes, yeah. And I said, did you see the guy who got up with a beard in the middle of the speech? And he goes, you know who that was? Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty. He's a huge star. He's this close from my face. I said, you don't say. He said, oh, yeah, he flew in here just to endorse Trump. That's why he was in town. I said, really? I said, do you know who I am? He goes, I don't have a clue. I said, I'm Willie from Duck Dynasty. And he looked at me and he said, you had a different bandana on. So that started the relationship I had with Mr. Trump. Not too long after that, Don Jr. flew right in here to Monroe, stayed at the house. We took him duck hunting, deer hunting, and I knew right there. So I knew how to get Phil. See, I took Trump Jr. down there because I knew he was a really good shot. So we put him in the duck blind. He impressed Phil. So the Trumps had our support from the shooting of his son. So you never know how these things work out in politics, and I endorsed him after that. And I will say this about President Trump. If you are a believer and a Christian, I can't think of a better president that we've had for the stuff that we do. I mean, hands down, he gets it. He gets our lifestyle, what we like here in this part of Louisiana for sure. And so I've been proud of that. Now, I'll tell you about the reason we're here tonight is because of Eddie Rispone, all right? Eddie Rispone. I don't know, I try to sound like a coon-ass every time I say his name for some reason. We're from North Louisiana. We can't, Eddie has been great. Now, let me tell you this. Here's the deal with Eddie. Here's why I like Eddie, because I know Eddie. A few years ago, I was at a church fundraiser. Eddie was there, and he bought a meal with John Foles and I, and we showed up to his house to cook. So I got to sit with Eddie a whole night. All his kids, all those grandkids. I took pictures with all of them, and we just got to sit there and eat and talk. And so really got to know Eddie just as a man. He loves the Lord. He prays. I mean, he's a business guy. He creates jobs, and I just really liked him. And so I had no idea he was going to run for governor. So last year he said, I was at that same fundraiser, he said, Willie, I'm thinking about running for governor. I said, well, Eddie, if you need anything, just let me know. I'll be there to help you. And then off he went, and now he's running. And I'm telling you what, I'm so excited that he's here. I'm so excited that we have a chance for a new governor. I really believe in Eddie. He's a job creator. He's an outsider. And we know that's worked in Washington, so let's, I think we need that for Louisiana. He's a hunter, but I make fun of him. I say, Eddie, you ain't getting to hunt no more. You're out here campaigning. So I'm trying to do my part to make sure that I get enough meat for he and I. So we believe in Eddie. Eddie's going to be here. We're so excited. And I want you guys to help join me to support Eddie Rispone for governor to help the great state of Louisiana. It's so good to be here with you tonight. Love you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next speaker in tonight's program, the Attorney General of the great state of Louisiana, Jeff Landry.
Well, hello, Monroe. Is this Trump country or what? I mean, it is so great to be here. I tell you, I'm so excited. It's almost like opening day of duck season. I'm your Attorney General, Jeff Landry, and I'm so grateful that the President asked me to come and visit with you all today. I'm proud to be in a state where the people put God, family, and country first. You know, as a veteran, a former police officer, a business owner, and one of the most conservative U.S. House members in Congress, one of the former, I want to tell you it has been my privilege to serve as your Attorney General. And so I want to say thank you. I want to thank you not only for the opportunity to serve as your Attorney General, but a great thank you for letting me serve at a time when I can work with a great president who is making America great. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand with and work with President Trump, who, like me, believes in securing our borders and ending illegal immigration. Thank you for letting me work with President Trump, who supports those who support us, our law enforcement. You see, the president recognizes, as do many of us, that there is a thin blue line between those that want to harm us and those who want to protect us. And so he loves our men and women in uniform, and he loves our first responders. So let's give our first responders and our police officers who work so hard today a big old round of applause. You know, we have a president who believes in protecting our freedoms by appointing conservative judges to the bench who actually adhere to the Constitution and champion limited government that our founding fathers envisioned. Today, President Trump has made over 150 court appointments already, including great justices like Justice Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. But guess what? He's not done, right? Now let me ask you, how many veterans we have here today? How many men and women served in uniform? We got a World War II veteran right there. How about a big round of applause for our veterans? I want you to know President Trump supports you. Our president has done things like turn the VA system around. He's increased job opportunities for our veterans. And you know, actually now we have the lowest unemployment for veterans. And of course, what about our national economy? It has been incredible under President Trump. He is increasing jobs for American workers, reviving our economy. Since he's been elected, our economy has added over 6.7 million jobs. The unemployment rate is at a 50-year low. And when I say it's at a low for everyone. He leaves no one out. Record low unemployment for African Americans, record low unemployment for Hispanics, record low unemployment for women. Everybody prospers. Now, let me ask you a question. Do we want 4 more years of President Trump? Okay, so look, I got to ask y'all something. I'm almost done here, but I need y'all to remember this. Can y'all say 4 more years? Okay, so that's right. So here's what, we're going to make the staff nervous back there. When they announce the president, I want y'all to say 4 more years, right? Okay, now y'all don't forget that because that's important, 4 more years. Because we need 4 more years. But you know, that's about all of the good news because unfortunately, while President Trump has been making our national economy boom, Louisiana is missing out. Anyone want to guess why? John Bell Edwards. See, Louisiana is the only state in the country that is shedding jobs. And not only are we shedding jobs, we're shedding people. I mean, our friends, our neighbors, our family members, they're leaving for greener pastures. Most of them going to Texas. I call it the Great Texodus. Everybody's going to Texas. Well, you know what? That's got to stop. And guess who can stop that? You. You can stop it. You got an opportunity to stop that right now. Because we need a conservative in the governor's mansion, an outsider and a businessman, and who we need is Eddie Rispone. And I'm going to make it simple why we need Eddie Rispone. Let me ask you a question. When you have a plumbing problem, who do you call? A plumber. That's right, you call a plumber. So when your state is losing jobs and you have a struggling economy, you go out and you hire a proven job creator who knows how to turn things around. And that is why I and we must support Eddie Rispone. Now, there's another reason we need to support Eddie Rispone. Because Eddie Rispone supports President Trump. And so here's the difference. Just so y'all can understand, you can picture this. Here's the difference. So Eddie Rispone supports Donald Trump. John Bell Edwards is supported by those people who want to impeach Donald Trump. That's right. That's right. John Bell Edwards is in the party of Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, and that's who's on his team. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you why it's so important. Just in the last 2 weeks, members of the Hillary Clinton team have been right here in Louisiana getting votes out for John Bel Edwards.